Have you ever played a game on Roblox? If no, good for you. You have saved yourself the torment of having to interact with kids who should spend less time swearing in the chat and more time memorizing their multiplication tables. On the other hand, if you have played Roblox before, it is likely that you have wondered whether the games you've played are truly made by fellow players. Even though Roblox has a reputation of being full of minimal effort cash grabs, some games are quite impressive. You may even wonder if, through hard work and dedication, you too can make a game on Roblox. The good news is that anyone can make a game on Roblox. Don't expect it to become incredibly popular on your first attempt, and no one knows whether the developers of the popular games are real people or nebulous characters in a vast global conspiracy. But just like the American dream, the path to progress is theoretically open to all. Knowing this, why not try making a game on Roblox? You can invite your friends over for some fun, and being a game dev looks great on a resume. Just don't mention that it's on Roblox. The first thing you will need is a Roblox account. If you do not have one, do a search for Roblox and click on the first result, which will probably be the Roblox login page. Follow the instructions provided. Once you are logged into your account, you may want to consider playing some Roblox games first in order to get a feel for what Roblox is. Navigating the website should be easy. Just be careful not to play too much or you may never be able to leave. To start, look at the top of the website and click on the Create button. This will bring you to a list of games you have created, which will likely be empty. If you have an existing game, you can use that when following this video, but it is suggested to start a new game. Clicking on Create New Game brings you to a screen where you can choose a template. Although some templates come with lots of cool things, they're confusing and not needed for your first game. Choose the one called Baseplate. Click on Basic Settings to name it and give it a description. There are other settings, but you don't need to worry about them. Click on Create Game. If you completed all of that successfully, you should now have a game. You are now ready to begin adding things to your game. Click on the Edit button to open the Roblox Studio program. If you do not yet have it, you will be prompted to install it. Follow the instructions. The first thing you should do once Roblox Studio has loaded is look around. Look through the bars at the top of the screen and see what they do. Make a note of what is on the left side, right side, and bottom of the screen. The middle of the screen is where you can see the game. You can use the WASD keys and the right mouse button to move and look around. Also, use Q to descend and E to ascend. There is a tutorials button at the bottom left of the screen. You may want to check that out. If you want to make it go away, you can close it by clicking on the X in the upper right corner of its window. At the ribbon at the top of the screen, click on View to access more settings. Here you can change what you see on the screen. You should already have Explorer, Properties, and Toolbox enabled. If not, click on their buttons in the ribbon to make them appear. Most of the components which make up the user interface in Roblox Studio can be moved around. Click and drag on the top bar of a component to start moving it. Try moving your mouse between two other components and releasing it. If you drop a component directly on top of another component, the two will merge and share one spot on your screen and can be switched by clicking on their respective tabs on the bottom. If that is undesirable, click and drag the bar to free that component. To further customize your interface, click and drag on the borders between components to resize them. At the top of the screen, click on Home to return to the default set of tools. There are 4 tools you should be aware of: Select, Move, Scale, and Rotate. These will be discussed in more detail later. If you want to test your game, run around, and interact with things, click the Play button at the top of the screen. If you want to stop testing, click the Stop button. It is probably a good idea to save your game regularly. You can do that by clicking on File in the top left corner, then clicking Save. Follow the instructions. If Roblox Studio ever crashes and you lose your progress, you can go to the most recent save in your computer and double-click it to start working on the game again. Do not rely on the autosave feature. By now, you're likely getting bored of seeing a flat, gray block in your view all the time. You're likely wanting to add more content to your game. That's what the Toolbox is for. In the Toolbox, you can search for things to add to the game. It is claimed that everything you find in the Toolbox was created and uploaded by a player just like you. Try searching for something simple, like a house. Once you have found something you want to add to your game, click on it. You should notice a change in the Explorer, and you may see a house appear in your view. If you don't see anything, look around in your game and try to find it. First, some notes about the Explorer. What the Explorer shows you is a representation of everything that exists in the game. You will notice that things are organized into layers, and a single item may branch into several other items. That is how a Roblox game is organized. At the highest level, the items which are not indented include things like workspace, starter pack, and server storage. These three are particularly important to new Roblox game developers. Workspace contains everything that can be seen and interacted with. Starter pack is a container that will give its contents to each player. It expects to only contain tools, which will be explained in a bit. Sometimes, when adding something found in the Toolbox into the game, things will go into server storage or the similarly named replicated storage. It is recommended that new users avoid touching anything in either of these. But just know that unlike Workspace, things put here will not be seen in-game. Each item you see in the Explorer is properly known as an instance. There are many kinds of instances. For example, parts are visible in-game, models group instances together, and scripts control what happens in the game. In the Properties window, you can scroll to a property called Class Name, which is different for each kind of instance. Furthermore, every instance has a name property, which is the name used to refer to it within the game. Multiple instances can have the same name. Every instance has a parent, the instance that is above it and is less indented. Instances may have children, which are instances which are below and are more indented. Instances can be selected by clicking, moved by dragging, renamed by right-clicking and clicking Rename, and deleted by right-clicking and clicking Delete or by pressing the Delete key. Now that the terminology and jargon are out of the way, let's move the house you just added. You should be in the Home tab at the top of your screen. There are two ways to select the house you just placed. Option 1 is to click the Select tool, then click on the house in your view. Option 2 works if you know the actual name of the house. In the Explorer, click on the name of the house. Now that you have selected the house, click the Move tool at the top of the screen. A set of 6 arrows should appear around the house. You can drag these arrows to move the house around. The Scale tool allows you to make the house bigger or smaller, and it works for parts and models. You can hold Alt while clicking with any tool to select individual parts. Selecting something will display 6 dots around it. Any of them can be dragged to resize your selection. Note that this tool doesn't allow you to stretch or squish a model along one axis. The Rotate tool allows you to rotate a selection by clicking on one of the 6 dots and dragging along the circle. You can also cut, copy, and paste selections using Ctrl plus X, C, or V respectively. You can delete your selections with the Delete key, as mentioned previously. Having a house is great and all, but if you've ever played a Roblox game before, you'll know that some games give you swords, rocket launchers, and other items. Adding these to your game is simple. Go to the Toolbox and search for the item you want. Try searching for a rocket launcher. Clicking on one will ask you whether you want to put it into Starter Pack, which you should click Yes on. As explained previously, any tool put into Starter Pack will be given to each player. It is important to distinguish between the 4 tools available in Roblox Studio: Select, Move, Scale, and Rotate, and the tools usable by those playing the game. Once you have more skill, you can use the Toolbox to add scripts into your game. Scripts are displayed in the Toolbox as orange code symbols. You can open scripts by double-clicking them in the Explorer. Some scripts contain a set of instructions at the top. Most scripts contain a large section of gibberish. This is not gibberish. It is necessary for the script to work. Do not make changes to it unless you know what you are doing. The free models you find in the toolbox can be very useful, but because they are created by other players, they may contain malicious content that can negatively impact your game. First, to clear misconceptions, the viruses found in models cannot affect your computer or anything outside of the Roblox game. The worst a malicious Roblox script can do is crash the Roblox Studio application by using up all the resources on the computer. This is one reason why it is important to save regularly. Most computers have systems in place to stop Roblox viruses from crashing the computer itself. Things which Roblox viruses can do include setting everything on fire, messing with the player's user interface, and deleting everything when a game starts running. It should be noted that Roblox scripts only begin running when you start testing your game. Thus, their damage is confined to a single testing session and will not erase your saved game. The best models are those made by Roblox itself. Make sure that when you hover over the model in the toolbox, the name of the maker is Roblox in all caps, and there are many upvotes. This indicates that the model has existed for a long time. Other good choices are models with many upvotes and relatively few downvotes. As always, use your judgment in deciding whether a model can be trusted. As you become more skilled in distinguishing between the good and the bad, you can explore a wider variety of models. Some models with very specific purposes can only be found through lengthy searching. After adding any model from the toolbox, it is a good idea to go through it in the Explorer. Look for scripts which have odd names. If you are more skilled in scripting, look inside the script for anything strange. If you are ever in doubt about whether a model is malicious, delete it. It is important to be informed regarding admin scripts. These are scripts which provide administrative functions in your game. Fancy, well-known admin scripts have user-created icons in the toolbox. Basically, you can set who can kick or ban players from your game. Although they make dealing with troublemakers much easier and save you the hassle of making your own system for doing so, they often automatically give admin privileges to and prevent kicks or bans on the maker and his or her friends. The general rule is that if you can make a script that does what the admin script does, remove it. Always trust your own scripts over those of others. When you have made all the changes you want to your game, you can publish it to Roblox. Click on File at the top left corner, then click on Publish to Roblox. It may prompt you to choose a game to publish to. Click on the game you created previously. On the Roblox website, you can go to the game and change its name, description, and other settings. Games are not shown on your Roblox profile by default. You can click Show on Profile to change that. More advanced topics relating to making Roblox games include building and scripting. You can search online for the Roblox wiki for more information on what to do next. Building is generally about using the 4 studio tools and other features to make something that looks nice. The Properties menu, touched upon previously, is useful for changing the appearance of parts and similar things. You can start by editing existing builds. For practice, try changing the color of the floor of your house or adding another door. Scripting is generally about using the display you get when you double-click on a script in order to make something functional. You will need to search for unfamiliar terms on the Roblox wiki often. You can start by editing existing scripts. For practice, try making the rocket launcher fire rockets of a different color or fire multiple rockets with one click. The Roblox wiki has useful information on all things related to Roblox game development, but often the best way to improve is to experiment and try things you haven't tried before. That's the basics of making a game on Roblox. Have fun!